here, heading out on a road trip today. It's a beautiful day to be out on the road and do a little sightseeing this morning. So thank you so much for joining us at Tiny Barn Farm, and off we go. Just picked up our freezer, our second freezer that I spoke about in the last video. We need some more storage for the vegetables. That's it back there. Can you really see it there? More zucchini. We just picked these just now. Oh my god. It's endless. I'm going to be heading out to the garden today, pick some elderberries because they're ripe now. And also I'm going to check on the pumpkins and see how the pumpkins are doing because I think some of them might be ready to pick. So. Just hanging on in the wind. Look at these. Isn't that incredible? Lovely. Yeah, they are ready to pick. They say if they're dark purple or blue and they're droopy, that's when they're ready. So let's pick some of these. We'll have some cold and flu remedy for the inevitable cold and flu we'll probably end up getting at some point. Hopefully not soon. Try to avoid getting sick as much as possible, but what are you going to do when it happens? It just does. Slowly, we're learning things as we live in this wild space. Always learning something new, which always makes life exciting and interesting. Keeps you going. Oh, there's a nice big clump in there. This is what I've got so far. Look at that. Yeah, that's a pretty good amount. I think that'll make a couple bottles, actually. All right, let's see how the pumpkins are doing. basket. Got sunflowers starting to bloom. Okay, I'm gonna sneak in here. I have a feeling there's some pumpkins in here to be picked. Let's see what we got. These are so adorable. Hey, Cricket. What are you doing? I don't think you want to live in this basket. Off you go. Pretty good. Look how perfect that is. There's so many in here. I'm impressed with these. All right, I think I'll leave the rest for now. Let them ripen up a little more. And we got yellow beans to pick. Picked some tomatoes yesterday. I'm gonna wait for the rest to ripen a bit. Oh, and the beans are starting to die back, which is good. That means that these are the dry beans, so we're gonna let those dry out completely. And I'm gonna show you the pollinator garden. All right, I'm gonna pick some yellow beans because they are ready for picking. I gotta keep up with these or else they just get crazy. Yeah, those are ready, all right. All different shapes and sizes. These plants are very small. They didn't do that well this year, but they've produced a lot of beans. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're pretty happy with the amount. But once I add more fertility to this garden, over the years, it'll produce larger plants and hopefully more food. But considering the soil here wasn't really that great to begin with, it is going to be a multi-year process of getting it to its optimal production. So that's why I'm holding off on the farm stand right now. I don't like to kind of make promises I can't keep, so I want to make sure that I can have a consistent inventory of offerings in the farm stand. So I want to do that with a garden that is producing well. I mean, you always have to consider weather and predators, critters coming into your garden. We've been pretty lucky so far. But I would at least like to be confident enough that the fertility is there to support a farm stand. Because it can get pretty disappointing going to farm stands and they're empty. So I want to make sure, given the drive that people would have to make to get out here, that it's worth the visit. So probably next year or the year after, I would imagine, we'd be ready to take on that project. It would be a project because we need to build a farm stand. We want to put something kind of permanent at the side of the road. Maybe using it like an old hay wagon or something like that with a roof on it. But it would be nice to have something you can close as well, just so you can leave some items there overnight without them getting raccooned or skunked. So, yeah, we'll come up with something cute and quaint that kind of suits the area, adds to the area. So until then, we've been making some plans for the garden. We're going to add kind of a perimeter path around it. We want to bring in some mulch. I also want to bring in a whole lot more sheep manure. Like even this tiny little plant, look how many beans there are on that. But there's just tons and tons all the way down, all the way, like just there's like a dozen on each plant, like a whole bunch. So, and then that row just keeps going all the way to the end there. We got our second freezer yesterday, which I'm kind of excited about. So because we had to transport it on its side, or on its back, I guess, we're letting it sit for at least 24 hours before we turn it on. That's the advice we got anyway. We've done that before and it seemed to work out okay. So it's a stand-up Danby freezer. I prefer the stand-up ones just because they're easier to access what's in there. I find the problem with the deep freezers is you just never know what's sitting in the bottom. So we can be freezing a lot more vegetables, and I want to also place a meat order with one of the local farms to have that stocked up for winter. Just so I like to eliminate trips to the grocery store or even to the local farms in the wintertime. So I like to stock up as much food as possible and then only really go and get food like once a month in the wintertime. We're not on the roads so much because the weather, you just never know. I mean, we've had a pretty easy couple of winters lately, but I know we're destined to have a crazy winter at some point, and that might be this year. Yeah, I think I'm going to fill this basket right up. Today we're going to be processing a lot of the food that we harvested yesterday. We've got yellow beans, some pumpkins, a ton of zucchini over here. We've got a ton of pumpkins coming up, so I just thought some of these smaller ones that may not hold very well over the long term, I'm going to slice them up, roast them, and then freeze them. Look how cute that is. This is like tiny, it's about 4 inches. I love doing like pumpkin soups, pumpkin muffins, one of my favorite. We have a really great recipe for pumpkin oatmeal cookies. And also, what else do I do? Oh, pumpkin pie, of course. It's delicious all winter long. So we're going to have a freezer full of pumpkin, I think, this year. Also, I've got a ton. I have 2 bowls of giant bowls of yellow beans. So I'm going to be chopping those up and freezing those as well. I'm not going to blanch them. I've blanched them before and I find that they're just a little too soft. Maybe I cook them a little too long, but I'm not going to blanch these. I'm going to just cut off the ends, chop them in half, and put them in a freezer bag, suck the air out, and we'll see how they go. We've just got so many. So these ones are washed. I'm going to be washing the other set. And then we also have a ton of zucchini. So I'm going to be shredding this and also freezing these because we just use them all year round. I find they're really nice. Like actually I roasted a chicken the other day and I put some of the shredded zucchini in the bottom. It was really nice having that in there as kind of part of the sauce. So that was an interesting use for it. But generally we make zucchini bread, but also zucchini muffins, and I use it a lot in spaghetti sauce. We've got so much, but it's all going to be used. So I'm really happy to have that. And so yeah, let's get started. So yeah, I'm just going to cut the ends here. Actually, I'll bring you closer. You know what, actually? These are actually really good raw. These little skinny ones, the younger ones. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. I should probably continue with this chopping. So I'm gonna get these done. And then we're gonna jump on to, well, I'll show you when I put them in the bags, and then we'll probably jump onto the pumpkins and get those in the oven. Roasting, I'll show you how I do that. It's a really, really simple way to preserve pumpkin. New freezer. This will be full of vegetables by the end of the week. Oh, we gotta probably level out the feed on that, but overall, Good little unit. Here's our list of things we're hoping to accomplish today. I'll just start at the top and go from there. So we're gonna do some zucchini, get the beans processed, freeze some tomatoes. We've got some tomatoes here on the counter. They're ripening up nicely, so I'm gonna freeze some of those in bags. And if we have time, we're gonna pick some herbs and basil, get the pumpkins roasted, chopped up and roasted, because we got lots of pumpkins coming, so yeah, we're gonna get those into the freezer. Some of these tomatoes, the ones that are the most ripe, or just kind of don't look like they're gonna last very long in this bowl. So usually I like to freeze them while they're ripe, or if they have a crack in them or something, I'll just freeze them. So I'm gonna wash these, pick the little stems off, throw them in the bag, and freeze them. Fresh tomatoes. There's no need to core these, they're so small. The larger ones I would usually core them. These little ones, there's no need. All right, this isn't very glamorous, but here we go. Well, that's most of it. Let's try that again. No need for special machinery. Sometimes you could just do things manually. That goes into the freezer. A little bit of room in here. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the kind of more attractive, the vegetables that are a little more attractive to like raccoons and bears and things. I'm keeping them in here. I'm just guessing at this, but I've got some ready-made meals, but also just like, you know, carrots, tomatoes, probably the pumpkin, those types of vegetables. I have a feeling raccoons and bears might like those, so I don't really want them tearing into my freezer on the back porch. So out there I'm keeping turnips, zucchini, some of those just less smelly vegetables. So I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but I figured might as well be just extra careful just in case, because that freezer would be easy to get into if they tore through the screens, and we really don't want that to happen. There we are. I always feel guilty cutting these up. They're so cute, but must be done. It's amazing how many seeds these produce. These little pumpkins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on a pan on some parchment paper. The little ones, I'll just leave them whole, or maybe just cut them in half into chunks, and I'll roast them in the oven at 400 degrees, probably I don't know, anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. And after that, I'll scrape the pumpkin, the roasted part out away from the pumpkin skin. And then I just throw them in bags and freeze them. Lovely. They're very nutritious, these seeds. So we roast them, a little bit of salt, pepper, olive oil, or coconut oil if you're going to do them on high heat. Roast them in the oven. Nice snack. And good nutrition. You can also replant them. I can dry them out and plant them.